S60 and it's built here in America. So we've come to California to find out what it's like.
One of the main reasons Volvo decided to build the S60 in the USA is because, unlike the rest of the world, where SUVs are rapidly replacing sedans as the luxury vehicle of choice, Americans still have a taste for the traditional car. So while its sibling, the V60 wagon, will still be built in Sweden, the S60 gets put together in a new factory in Charleston, South Carolina. Manufacturing aside, this is a true Volvo. It's based on the same modular underpinnings as the V60, XC60, XC90 and S90. So there's a family resemblance, both in the way it looks and the way it drives.
This is the Polestar engineered version of the S60, which will sit at the top of the range. It's powered by the T8 plug-in hybrid powertrain. That means there's a supercharged and turbocharged 2-litre petrol engine under the bonnet. There's a 10 kilowatt hour battery that's mounted in the centre of the car, and that feeds an electric motor on the rear axle for all-wheel drive performance.
Volvo claims the combination is capable of producing 298 kilowatts of power in total and 670 newton meters of torque, but that's a combination of the 540 newton meters from the petrol engine and the 240 newton meters from the electric. But Volvo also claims using the electric motor alone can give you up to 49 kilometers of petrol-free motoring.
So how does all that technology come together on the road? The answer is, it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. It's certainly a clever powertrain. The drive mode selector down here allows you to toggle between either pure EV or hybrid performance, or there's a power setting that I'm in now that allows you to really maximize the petrol engine as well for a sportier drive. And while it's on paper, specifications suggest this is a real dynamic sports sedan, the reality is when you get behind the wheel, it doesn't ultimately feel that way. Sure, it's got plenty of punch, but not enough to really worry the likes of the Mercedes-AMG C43 or even the Audi S5. Instead, it just feels like a sporty mid-size executive car. You can really feel the kick of the hybrid power, which is a nice sensation, and certainly means it's a grunty machine, but it lacks that real character that you expect from a true sports sedan. As for how it handles, we've thrown it through some challenging canyon roads outside of LA. Certainly it feels solid and planted when you throw it through some faster sweeping corners, but when the going gets a bit twistier, it does show up its dynamic limitations. The Polestar runs on Pirelli P0 tyres, but they do sort of give up the grip a little bit earlier than what you'd typically expect from a really sporty car this size. But the big thing for me is really the brakes. Because it's a hybrid system, you do actually get some regeneration on the brake pedal initially, but then because it's got big 6-piston Brembo brakes, it grabs quite hard as well once the mechanical brakes kick in. So there's a weird sensation as the two switch over, and it takes some time to get your head around it and really adapt. So ultimately it leaves them feeling a little bit grabby. Although the braking power is there, you just don't get that feel through the pedal that makes it, really enjoyable for the driver. But those criticisms aside, if you look at it as a luxury car, then it does a very good job in many respects. Certainly the cabin is a really nice place to be. It's got good space. And to drive around town, the variety of modes gives you the option to really, if you're not looking to be at the dynamic edge, you can flick it into the electric mode and drive it EV only, which is great. Just for everyday driving, you can have it in a hybrid setting so you can save as much fuel as you want. So it gives you that flexibility. It does have a bit of a sportier edge, which is nice. But in terms of hitting that same sort of dynamic peak that the original S60 Polestar achieved, well, then this one ultimately falls a little bit short. So it's a bit of a compromise, but it ultimately probably opens up Polestar to a wider audience.
The new S60 isn't due to hit Australian roads until late 2019, so there's no indication yet on exactly which models Volvo Australia will bring and what they'll charge for them. It'll need to be sharp though to compete against the likes of the recently refreshed Mercedes-Benz C-Class and the forthcoming new BMW 3 Series. But our first impressions of this new American Volvo is it remains true to its Swedish heritage of premium design and presentation, backed up by its newfound hybrid performance.